I guess it's having trouble focusing, you know. It focuses on the reflections on the top of the water rather than on the stones at the bottom of the water. It's doing okay, I think. It's fine. There they are. They're about yay long. It's hard to tell from how far the camera is. I should have put something to do with measuring in there. The largest fish you see there are about this long. There's lots of little tiny ones. You have trouble seeing at this distance. I've got the camera set on my balcony. You see the inside camera here. Just behind the window behind it is a balcony railing. And the camera there is just shooting straight down into the river. 15, I don't think they're well, 12 maybe, not sure. 12, it's hard to tell because when you look in the water, things look bigger than they are, so I don't want to exaggerate. The biggest ones there, and there's not too many of them, half a dozen only, they're 12 to maybe max of 15. They don't get much bigger here. There's not enough room for them. There's a weir just at the left side and another weir at the right side. Their universe is very, very small. And the local elementary school boys are in here, and they make sure that these fish don't get too big. And what we're going to see now today, and it's early in the morning, it's 8 o'clock, the sun is still way over on the right hand side. During the course of the stream, the sun's going to come higher behind me, and we may see some, if the sun hits into the stream here, we may get a better chance to see more of the fish in the sunshine. Anyway, that's what we've got. That's what we've got. Okay, let's clean up a bit. Oh, the Ome people have left me some light work to do this morning. I have a bunch of stuff to do myself here in Ome, but the main job that I'm doing here today is not streamable. I have to make a bunch more of those Hunger Club stands that we have. You know, our little gift prints we have in the shop, or we also have little wooden stands that we sell so that people can, you know, give the print and a stand as well. And we've had endless trouble trying to find a place to outsource those. They just want, everybody wants way, way too much money, even when we can find a place that can do it. So we do it ourselves. We order wood to be sent over to Ome, and once every couple of months I come by here, I get my goggles on and I get the table saw out and I thrash through it. But it's noisy, it's dirty, it's nothing we can stream. Endless wine of table saw and sander. Do I own this house but just not live here? This is my home. We are in the second sub-basement of the home that I own, free and clear, no mortgage. This is my actual home. The workshop in the next room is leased from the people, my neighbors. Yeah, this is my home. And I don't get out here much anymore, but whatever. Is that the table saw you made? Yeah, that's all we have. Well, actually, no, that's not quite true. We have two table saws up here. The one I made originally, and then we have another one. The one I made doesn't do, what do you call it when you tilt the arbor? Mine is not a tilting arbor saw. There was limits to what I could do with my own technology. So I used my own table saw to cut the wood to the rectangular size. Then I use a little cheap table saw we've got with a tilting arbor to put the slots in. Anyway, as I said, my main work here today, that and then some work on the moon print and stuff is not really streamable. So the staff here, they're way, way, way inundated. There's piles of stuff on all of the desks. So they said, if you're out here with a couple of hours to spare, and I'm like, yep. They said, okay, here, we'll leave some work for you on your desk. So what I'll be doing here this morning, I'm not going to be making any prints. I'm going to be mounting some prints. They have left a group of prints, the backboards, the corners to put them together, and the story sheet that they wrap up in. And this is Ome work. This is what the people out here do all the time. Watch your fingers with that table saw. Yes, I'm terrified of it. I'm terrified of all power tools. I do not like them. You don't have to stress me on that one. I have an extreme dislike of power tools. Even the ones I made. Okay, the fish are out there. What I've been doing, in order to, the stream here gets deeper down the right-hand side where we can't see. And right here is almost the shallowest point. It then stumbles over rocks here and has a pool up at the other end. So when the water comes high after a rain, they've got free run of this whole thing. It's about 100 meters end to end. But when the water goes down like it is now, they can no longer get to the pool at the other end. And I guess they've learned to stay at the downstream end, and food comes down to where they are. So there weren't any guys here this morning when I came. I looked over, couldn't see any fish, but what I brought with me a cup of 7-Eleven pasta. It's chicken salad pasta, and these guys die for this. They die for this. So this morning, as I was getting the camera set up, I took a few handfuls of this and tossed it out there, and they now know it's going to be a pasta day. So they are down there waiting. So what I'm going to have to do is interrupt this every 10 or 15 minutes. Let's do this now. Toss out a few more chunks of pasta just to make sure they are going to hang around. I'm outside now, looking down over the balcony. Here we go. Let's toss a few pieces in there. As long as we do this every couple of minutes, they will remember that I'm here. I guess we need an automatic tiny pasta dispenser. I don't know. Yes, lucky day for the fish, indeed. Very lucky day. Of course, Japanese fish like konbini food, so I got food on my fingers. I got to be careful or I'm going to be in trouble with the Ome staff here. If they find fingerprints on this stuff, I'm going to be in trouble. They really don't want me doing this, actually. You know, they complied with my request, but they really don't want me touching this stuff. I get it, you know. They think they're. I mean, remember, I designed everything here. Not just I didn't design the print. That's a Hiroshige print, but I carved the print. But I designed everything else about how this works: the packaging, the thickness of the board, the color, the way it's printed, the mounting. Everything has been designed and refined over the years. And these guys now, the two workers who are here, they sort of really don't know too much about that history. Nishiyama-san especially, she's only been with us a year or so. So she looks on this as being her territory, and this guy comes in all of a sudden, and like she really doesn't want me to touch this, but she couldn't say no. But I built this thing. I built it all. Especially lots of them, the girls in the shop, they don't know anything about the history of this place, that we actually go back 30 plus years, you know. The first print went out of my hands in Japan in 1989. And the younger staff, there's staff here that weren't even born then, and they just don't know this history, you know. So how should I do this? If I sit here and do 30 prints on the corners first, then do 30 backboards, what's the best way to do this? Let's see. That's probably not so interesting. So let me open this package up. Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's keep all the supplies. Don't touch cables, Dave. We print these in-house. It's all printed on our strong multi-power laser printer. All the gift prints get a story, English and Japanese story, wrapped up. And we're very careful. I first screwed up in the old days. I had this as a single fold. The print went inside, the story folded on top, and away they went. Disaster. Laser printers are okay, but they're not the same as a good high-powered offset printer. Now wait a minute, we have a jig for this. What's going on here? Where is the jig? Showing me where to fold. Where is the jig? Excuse me 1 second. There's a little jig that shows me where to do the folding for this. Nishiyama-san, where's the jig? So, you've got it. She really doesn't want me doing this. She's hidden the jig. I don't think she's done that, but I cannot find it. I cannot find it. It's a plywood board with two raised parts on the side and a thing in the middle. You put the story into the registration marks, and then before you put this board in, you pull down a flap and you go ka-chunk, and it makes the two lines in place here. You lift up the flap, you then put this in and fold it in left to right. I'm not about to bail out here. We've got to do this job. How can we do this? Where does that go? If that goes in the middle like that, I think if I get one made, I can use that as a sample. Let's take my life in my hands here. Close. There's the concept. That's how these things work. The laser printed story is safe from transferring onto the print. The sheet that faces the print is blank. And we've tried to make it so that when people buy this and open it, they won't close it this way because that looks a bit silly. So we've tried to design it in a way that people will always close it the same way, leaving the print safe from toner transfer. John's saying, now try to get that into one of those plastic bags. Well, actually, that's the next step here. I don't think they're too bad. Yeah, they slide in very nicely. push the air out, fold it over, and tape it down. I'm going to leave that for them. There's no way I'm going to tape it down, because that would be an absolute disaster. All right, let's do this. This is not the most interesting work in town, but it does have to get done. So it's up to you. If there's an interesting conversation, it's up to you. Prompt it here. But I am so happy to be back out here, you know. I had been a little bit afraid that when we started the stream at 8 o'clock, something else would also have happened. The rule downtown in Asakusa, you've heard me talk about this, when there's construction noise and stuff, they're supposed to keep quiet between 8 at night and 8 in the morning. That's the rule when you don't do any noisy outside construction. And the same thing happens here. This is 8 to 8 is the keep quiet time. If you're doing construction noise, or if there's a construction company nearby, or if you're doing weed whacking or something, 8 till 8. And when Tamura-san across the river was still alive, he was an inveterate weed whacker. Well, he had to be. He had an acre and a half over there. And until I got angry at him one day about this, he used to do it any old time. He'd get up at 6 and start out. But I really got upset one day at him, and threatened to call the city hall and blah, 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 whatever. So he then behaved well, meaning behaving well means you start at 8 o'clock. So I was a little bit afraid that when I started the stream at 8 o'clock, we would also get a start-up of a chainsaw somewhere or a weed whacker somewhere, and away we would go. But so far, so good. J. Beazle, did my dad's suggestion pan out? Mr. Beazle, it's tomorrow, as I mentioned. Tomorrow is my 3-month checkup over at the major hospital, Tuesday afternoon here in Japan, and I will very much bring up the suggestion you made. Whether or not this is just simply cultural difference from country to country, or whether you're onto something I should be care about, I don't know, but I'm going to bring it up. That's all I can do. Just so the rest of you know what's going on, Mr. Beazle here has some knowledge about the glaucoma situation that I'm facing, and has offered some background information that could maybe affect the way I choose diagnosis and treatment for this. So, and a medical diagnosis via Twitch. So, no, I was happy to read your suggestion, sir. There was no feeling that you were interfering at all. I was happy to read your suggestion. Do we have any special show and tell from Ome today? Yes, we do. I have some stuff that I grabbed from upstairs, 2 or 3 things here. In fact, when I was upstairs, just before the stream started, first priority for me was to get the cameras ready, make sure this was all going to work. And then I had 10 or 15 minutes to spare, so I went upstairs and had a look, what can we show them for show and tell today? And I got up there and I looked at this and looked at this, and what's that bag leaning up against the wall there? And I pulled out this bag, blew the dust off it. Actually took it outside, took it to the window and blew the dust off it. And there's a little bag there, and it was from Numabe-san, one of the printers that we use for doing a lot of our work. And there was 2 prints in there that I haven't seen for many, many years, which you are really, really, really going to be interested in seeing. So yes, so we do have some show and tell here. You're talking about the eye drops for glaucoma and stuff. The suggestion that came in over the stream the other day was not so much eye drops, but there was a suggestion that perhaps my situation might need surgery. And I had replied to the person who was emailing me here that my own doctor had mentioned surgery as a method of reducing pressure inside the eye. But after they tested my drains, I don't know the word they're called, the part where the liquid leaves your eye, he tested those areas, found that they were flowing smoothly. So here, by Japanese standards, he thinks there's no requirement for surgery. The comment I received through the America, was it America or Europe? I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm just assuming America, Mr. Beazle. Through American practice was that it seems to be there's some differences, that even people like myself without high pressure in the optic nerve could also benefit from surgery to reduce the pressure below what's normal. So anyway, the suggestion was made, and I'll pass it on to my own professional, the doctor, tomorrow morning. We'll see. I don't know the technical word, and I don't know if this is the tear ducts. I don't believe it's tear ducts. This is the place where the fluid inside your eye, we're talking about pressure inside the eyeball, and fluid comes in and leaves and comes in and leaves and whatever. I don't know too much about the mechanics of this. But one of the apparent causes of glaucoma is internal pressure in the eyeball rising too high due to the fact that where the liquid leaves, I don't think they're the tear ducts, where the liquid leaves. That was an announcement from City Hall about something. I heard half of her announcement. She said, good morning, ohayo gozaimasu. Gigi. It's bouncing. It's the neighborhood association, the Jijikai. So she said today, which is a holiday here in Japan, today is the Jijikai something or something happening. So they're trying to get the local people out to do something. What is that one? It's getting closer. The sound is coming not from the woods, it's coming from down at water level. I have no idea what it is. It's moving. It's slowly moving its way up the river. There's so much greenery. It hasn't been trimmed in years that I can't really see the river from here anymore. I can see down upstream there, but I can't see in front. I was hoping that whatever it is might come in view of the camera there. I haven't a clue what it is. If I go out, we'll scare it and it'll fly away or run away, whatever it is. It's a bird of some kind, you know? I don't think it's a heron. They're quiet, they're silent. He's just waiting right in the same place where I've been throwing the pasta. Shall I go out there? It'll almost certainly scare it away. That's a pigeon. Did I bring a supply of hard-boiled eggs? Smart ass. I think it's leaving. I want to see what this is. It's in the undergrowth across the river. And I can hear the sound, I can move, I can see nothing. I can hear the sound moving, follow it with my eyes. It's an animal of some kind. It's not fish, it's not in the river, it's in the undergrowth. It's up on the other side of the river in the undergrowth. I've been here, I moved here in the year 2000, built this workshop 2001, 2002. I've never heard this one before. Don't know what it is at all. It must have heard me come out, didn't seem to be too worried about that. Throw a rock at it. Hey, come on guys, we're neighbors. It's a bird of some kind of show. There's a sort of a cheap aspect to the sound. There's a bird. I don't think monkeys do that, do they? We do have every now and then a monkey here. I've only ever seen one once. In all the years I was living here, I saw once. But when I was here to get my haircut a few weeks ago, she gave me this report. There have been a couple of monkey sightings here in town in recent weeks. He had the courtesy to wait until 8 o'clock. So, back to the announcement. The announcement was the local PA system, and it said, "Good morning, this is from your GGKI," meaning the homeowners association for the district here. I'm technically a member, but I don't know the local people at the moment because I don't spend much time here these days. And she was reminding us that there's an event happening today. I don't know what it was. I couldn't catch it. There was too much echo on that thing. Today's a national holiday. I don't remember the occasion of the holiday, but it's a national holiday today. Okay, the sun is coming up a bit and the light is improving on our stream here. We're going to get a bit more sunlight. And once the sunshine hits that place where the fish are, we'll get a clearer view, absolutely. This PA system, the PA system, remember this is Japan, and we need very much. We need a public address system. Earthquake, blank, fire, when the internet is down, when the radio is down, the TV is down, you name it. It's a local system. It's got, who knows, hank-crank generators. I have no idea how it works. But it's the communication method of last resort when the earthquake has brought everything down and they need to communicate with the community. So it might sound a little old-fashioned, it might sound a little bit like Big Brother or whatever it is. It's no such thing. It's simply, it's there for the emergency use mostly, and it comes into casual use. Here this morning, when else will you hear it? You'll hear it at perhaps 3:30 in the afternoon. It'll say, "Attention all drivers, the elementary schools let out a half an hour ago and the streets are full of young people on their way home. Please be careful." We see that sort of stuff. Then there'll be an announcement, maybe, I'm guessing, in summertime. Now that the summer holidays are on, schools are closed, there's probably an announcement coming at 4:30 or something. Attention, all elementary school students, it's now 4:30, time to head home for dinner. Something like this, the generally accepted rules for this. So kids can play outside without wondering what's going on, and when they hear the announcement, it's time to go home for dinner, whatever. So it's okay, and it's not abused. I don't hear the current system, what's going on day by day by day, but it's not abused. There's no advertising, there's no endless chat. It's literally public service announcements. The first one I heard in Japan when I came here back in the late 70s was at my ex-wife's home out in the country, and it was an agricultural cooperative's public address system. And that, my God, I could not believe it. It's like 4:30 in the morning, they start playing music. Everybody, it's time to get up and start another day and get out into your rice fields. And I'm not making this up. This was like 4:30, and they play the music, and I thought, have I been time slipped to Mao's China or something like this, in the middle of the Cultural Revolution or whatever. And it was a Japanese rice-growing village in 1979. I would doubt very, very, very much that they do that anymore. But there it was. I say 4:30. I don't remember what time it was. Of course, I don't know. It was whatever time you think is too early. And that one too, that was a bit different. That was a little bit more Big Brotherish, because the agricultural community was really, really widespread. There were houses up in the mountain terraces, there were houses down near the river, they were all over the place. So instead of speakers out in the fields, that was wired to your house. And it was wired to the old telephones when we had handset telephones. So the wires came in from the telephone company, and the extra wire came in from City Hall. And those announcements from the agricultural cooperative came out of your actual telephone. So your telephone handset is sitting there, and it's got a little speaker thing inside it. And the music starts playing, and good morning, everybody. It's 4:30, and this is Joey, your team leader this morning. And then they would start, not just to get up and get going, but it would be the morning's agricultural market report. Price for corn futures went up 16 yen overnight, all this kind of stuff. And they would give that report each morning. And this is happening, Dave is still, am I alive yet? Yes, the phone is hung up. You don't have to pick it up. The phone was hung up and it broadcast. And the only place I've ever seen that in Japan is in that community. And it was an agricultural, it was a village, a farm village. And it made sense for them. Whether it still exists or not, I don't know. I think he's getting tired. The sound seems to be coming from the same place, but I think he's getting tired. I don't know. Let's throw some more pasta. Oh, they're waiting. Look, you can see them waiting. We've got them trained. Look at this. I'm not sure if these are yamame, the type of fish. I think we have the same conversation every time I come here and do this. What do you think? Shall I try zooming in a bit more? It'll give us less field of view. I've got the pasta bowl on the railing there, and the ants have discovered it. So the pasta bowl is covered with ants. So every time I throw a few pieces of pasta in now, there's some joyriders. The fish must be really enjoying this. bonus taste. Did we get a good focus? All right. Let me know if you want me to zoom out more or zoom in closer, whatever. Bonus protein. Don't know how much protein is in an ant. I don't know. Formic acid, I think. I don't know what it is. It's been a long time since I've tasted an ant. A long time. Makes me nostalgic for the days I used to work out here, you know. I did all my carving and printing, all the prints I made, the surimono albums. The poets were made in my old house over in Hamara, the apartment. Then I moved here in 2000, during the first year of the surimono series, or just as the first year was finished. So most of my work through my career, the surimono albums, the scroll, the solitude series, the moon picture, all that stuff, most of that work was done right here, sitting here. Now you can see it. I'm actually sitting outside. I'm just going to explain. This is where the wall of the building used to be. That's inside, and this area here used to be outside. I took out the curtain windows that were here, built a bay window with windows at each side. So you're looking that way and this way. And nearly all the prints I made through the whatever, all those years, were made sitting in this bench. And I'm in a foot down place. It's a raised platform with my feet sliding down inside. A glorious way. So from about the year 2000, or when I built this workshop, 2001, 2002, up until the time we opened our Saksa shop in 2014, this was my living environment every day. Get up upstairs. I slept upstairs, 4 stories above me, had a breakfast, and stroll down here. In summer, it looks really nice. It's green, it's quiet, it's peaceful. Today, there's not much wind, so it's a bit close. It is warm. If I were here by myself, I would just be sitting in my shorts. But the river, right there where you see it's shallow, it's only yay deep. But down towards the right, about 10 meters, and then as I mentioned, the pool over near the weir, they're deep enough to cover me, so I can get in there and splash. I can't swim back and forth. There's no deep, lengthy places to swim. But any number of times during the day, when I was printing, oh my God, printing, put your tool down, 15 seconds later I'm in the water, get cooled off, come back up, shake yourself off, get back to being printing. And it's still here, but now the place is being used as our packing and shipping warehouse. But it's heaven on earth. What can I say? We're still in Tokyo. I am in Tokyo as we speak. This is not out in the countryside near Tokyo. We are in Tokyo. And here I am sitting in my home in Tokyo with a river outside. It's not my river. I can't use it. I can't touch it. My property ends at the embankment. And the embankment itself is the property of Tokyo Prefecture. And the water it's what you would call crown land if this were Britain. It's not anybody's property. And I can't use this. If I devised a system to say make paper here and I need to use water to make paper, there's no way I can touch that river. Water rights here are very, very well established over centuries. The water here is going to end up in Tokyo's water system. You know, the stuff I drink in Asakusa, drops of it come from here. Not just this little river, but I'm saying my river feeds a bigger river, feeds the Tama River, and that feeds part of Tokyo's water system. And rights are very strictly controlled. There's no way I can touch this for commercial use. I mean, I can swim in it and pee in it and whatever, do what I want, but I can't use the water. There's a process for applying for permission to do that, but my God, talk about bureaucracy. Impossible. Impossible. Yeah, when I say I can't touch it, what I mean is you can't use the water commercially. The farmers and the Tokyo water system downstream have absolute priority. I can play in there, I can scoop it up, I can do whatever I want with it, but you can't, you can't rig up a pipe and a pump and take the water out and start making washi with it. You couldn't do that. Not without going through a long, long, long approval process. Whether that would be granted or not, I don't know. There's nobody else here farming with this water, but as I said, it's part of Tokyo's drinking water system, and that probably means anything else would be disallowed completely. It's pretty much as clean as it comes. There's really nothing upstream above me. If we had a camera, we could go and walk. By about 10 minutes from now, walking upstream in the shallow water, we would reach the headwaters. It's really not very far at all. We're in a little valley with some hills here, and the river starts with it's just groundwater seeping out of the ground here. And between the top and where I am, there's nothing. When I first moved here, that was not the case, because there were some older houses upstream that were still not connected to the city, drainage system, sewer systems. So there were a couple of old houses, old couples, grandfathered in, who were actually septic tanks draining into the river. Because in the old days it was a sewer, But I understand now that's gone. This water is now just whatever, the natural flow from the mountain behind us. It might be acidic a bit, the acid rain these days, I don't know. But I wouldn't hesitate to put it in my mouth, there's no problem at all. The mosquitoes here, it's interesting, up 2 floors above me by the front door, upstairs in Ome. If I walk around town up there, the mosquitoes will eat you alive at this time, June, July, and August. Where I am down here, I'm almost at river level. I'm in our second basement, and when I'm out there feeding the fish, and if I go down there paddling in the water, there's not a mosquito in sight. And they don't breed. Well, they might try to breed. Mosquitoes may try to breed in this river, but oh my God, those fish are not going to miss anything. The mosquito trouble as it is comes up from buckets and empty tires and stuff like that, still water from human garbage up in the town. Any mosquito that tried to lay its eggs in here is going to have a very, very short Darwinian, whatever. Those fish will take care of everything. Let's throw them some more pasta. Am I good zoomed in here, or do you want me to zoom out a bit more? I'm really not watching this, so you tell me what's better. Leave it like this, or zoom out a bit to get a wider field of view. ant-flavored pasta. Every fish's favorite. Pasta with a sprinkling of ants. Asked, I didn't wait for answer. I did. I left and now I'm coming back. Zoom out a bit maybe. Zoom, zoom. Zoom out some next time. Okay. I'm not throwing the pasta into the field of view. I'm throwing it upstream a little bit, trying to. Not always accurate. Okay, there it is. I'll zoom out a bit more next time. No problem. Okay, will do. Again, how big are these fish? The ones you're seeing right now in the middle of the screen, we're looking at about like this. Somewhere around there. There we are, that guy just right there, swimming towards me. Here, the one in the middle. Yeah, they're about like this. 12 centimeters, something like this. I don't want to, I could take something, you know, a spoon or something, put it down in the water for size reference, but what have I got? I don't have anything that I can put into the water. Whatever. Anyway, it's about there. I need a banana. Okay, whatever. If I put a banana in there now. Our annoying visitor did stop. I didn't even notice, you know. Did it go away? I didn't notice. Or did it stop when I went out there? Someone says, can I fish them? I honestly don't know. This little river, it's called the Kiyomigawa. It feeds in about, whatever, a kilometer below here. It feeds into the Tama River. And in the Tama River, there is fishing. And you need your card, your license, and you're allowed to fish here to here. You get your license for a particular zone. The river's broken up into zones. They don't want everybody clustering at the hot spots or whatever. I don't know how it works. And yes, during the season, when these particular fish are out there, the fishermen out there are out there enforced. And you'll see them lined up, a guy every 2 meters for kilometers at a time. They're in their waders. They go into the water and they line up. They all know how to do this. They line up on one specific side. They're in there casting and pulling. They've got their little net. And they're 2, 3, 4 meters apart. And they've all got their license. And then X weeks later, that season is over. Bang, and it's gone. So it's fish very similar to these. Whether or not it's exactly the same species or not, I don't know. Are in the Tama River below us. And they are very, very heavily fished. And people take them home for dinner. It's not just fish and throwback. These are catching and people will eat them. But here on my little stream, I'm not aware of anybody except elementary school kids trying to catch them. And my God, that would be it. That's it. You come here, you put your thing in, catch the 6 fish we've seen here, and that's it. You're all done. And you've destroyed the entire thing. So. And whether or not those fish down in the Tama River are supplied by a hatchery these days, or whether they are all still natural, I don't know. You'd have to look that up. Fishing in Tokyo, there must be lots of information out there. Someone says, I got to see the end of the stream. What do you mean the end? We just started the show. What time is it? 8. We've been at this an hour? Ayana-san will not be here today. But actually, even though it's a holiday, one of the other ladies will be here. Ishigami-san's coming in today. Because I brought with me last night another batch from Sugu-san of the Hokusai prints. And Ishigami-san is standing by. She wants to get these into the post as fast as possible because Dave was so late getting the blocks ready this month. So the earliest batches are gone through, but this is now whichever batch it is. I'm not counting, but she can't post them today, but she wants to get them packed today so that they can be posted in the morning. So those of you who are waiting for your hook-side prints, as we mentioned on Insta the other day, they are flowing through. I was late getting the block set ready, but the prints are all flowing through. My batch is gone. Suga-san's doing batch, another batch. Lei-chan's doing a batch, and she'll do another batch. Maybe I'll come back and do another batch. I'm not really sure. They're flowing through batch by batch. I work here most times and go to the shop like once a week. My work these days is very little actual carving and printing. My work these days is the manager and operator of Mokuhankan. Most of the staff are in there. The operations are there. These people here are packing and shipping. They don't need me to interfere with their work at all. I'm needed there upstairs for the printers. Yesterday, for example, we were coloring the next JED print. The coloring had to be decided. The staff comes to me any number of times a day. Can you answer this issue? Can you answer this issue? And then, of course, the shop. And every single day, with no exception, people come in the shop and, you know, if possible, like to say hello. This is people who have seen us on YouTube. So my presence really is almost never required in Ome these days. And my presence is constantly required in Asakusa. And that's kind of a paradox of my life right now. I would rather be here. Of course, I would rather be here. Peaceful, wonderful, beautiful life. But also I enjoy meeting the fans there, and I have to meet the fans there, and my job is there. My job as manager of the company is in Asakusa. But the trains back and forth are so wearying. I can't commute, you know. My neighbor does. We've talked about this. You know, my neighbor, Ishida-san, who lives in the next building here, he works in Gotanda 6 days a week. And he sleeps here, gets up in the morning, 6:30, whatever, bike to the station, down he goes, comes back at 10:30, bike from the station, collapses. So his body sleeps here, but he never sees the place. So I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. There's lots of ideas on the table. You know, if we could somehow find an operations manager, find or train an operations manager type person to do those aspects of my job over in Asakusa, then we could maybe do a schedule. Dave will be in the shop. We could say weekends, whatever. I don't know. We could say announce this long in advance. Dave will be in the shop weekends for those who would like to stop by and say hello, you know. And whether that would mean our shop traffic would die Monday to Friday and everybody would show up on the weekend causing chaos, I don't know. The Chuo line is weird. Sadako and I came out last night and we had a plan. I was really careful. I wanted to sit down, so I said, we'll go to Tokyo Station. There's the 1824 for Ome, and there's the 1836 for Ome. If we missed the first choice, we've got it. So we would be able to line up and sit down. We come up to the platform at like 1820, and people are starting to line up for the 1824 Ome. In fact, we saw the previous train zoom out. It was going to Takao. Perfect timing. I hit it bang on. We stand there lining up. This is our train, the 1824 for Ome. I look up at the board and it says, no, this is going to be the 1832 for Musashi Sakai. And I'm like, what? We look at the schedule. Yep, this is an 1824 and an 1836. They were both disappeared. They didn't exist. People were crowding around, getting on this train, getting on that train. Those two Ome trains had disappeared. Japan, the modern Japan, it's the end of the world. The Chuo line is crazy. JR is doing what they can do. The individual employees, of course, nothing. It's no good finding a station guy and yelling at him, where's my train, blah, blah, blah. Pointless there, you know. No, Sadako, who is coming back and forth every week, she's commuting to Mokuhankan, working on the weekends, so she sees this more often, and she says, get used to it. That's the way it is these days. And like, to me, this is the end of the world. You don't advertise a train. I checked online the schedule, like 30 minutes before we left the shop, and there it was. Those two trains were on the schedule 30 minutes before I left the shop. And they didn't exist. And she says, get used to it. So the idea that I would commute from here back and forth along that train line, no thank you. Not in my worst nightmare. And I guess at the root of it, of course, it's leftover echo from the pandemic. The train company was stunningly hard, hit staggeringly hard by the pandemic when people stopped going to work, but they're mandated to keep running the same trains. So for those early years of the pandemic, it was really difficult for the train companies. Their expenses just rolled along. All the staff, train, electricity expenses rolled along as normal, and their revenue plummeted. So I get it. It's the echo of this still. They're trying to cut back. More people are doing telecommuting and whatever. So yes, the train company is having a very, very difficult time of it. And I'm just being grumpy. The JR pass went up simply, I know they had not done the math in a number of years. They were way more use. Trains were jammed. They were not getting the money out of it. The price was way too low. It was one of the most stunning bargains on the planet. It was priced too low. And with the sudden influx of tourists, way beyond what we've had before, 70%. I'm not the accountant, John. I don't know. I have no idea. It was clearly too low. And it was also making life difficult for normal Japanese people trying to get on the Shinkansen. It's like the city buses in Kyoto. Because of the incredible influx in tourists, normal people can't get on the bus and go shopping in Kyoto. And it's the same thing. Once you get your businessman in Japan who can't find a seat on the Shinkansen because of all the tourists from France, I don't know the numbers, but it was very, very cheap for way too long. The traffic sound you're hearing there, it's from 2 stories above us. We're in the second sub-basement. The traffic sound is 2 stories up, the street level. I said France, whatever, tourists, cut me some slack here. The tourists we're having so much fun with right now are people from Scandinavia. There's a reason for this. And of course, we're getting tourists now from everywhere. It's still, we don't count them, but the number 1 would be America, 2 would be whatever, Central Europe, England, France, Germany, Switzerland, this kind of stuff. You know, those are the main areas. And then there's the rest. There's the Taiwan, Indonesia, Hong Kong. Scandinavia is another big area. Oh, Australia also is big, 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 big. But Scandinavia is growing, growing, growing. A lot. When they come in on the weekends, it's huge fun. Sadako, my friend Sadako, you see her on the stream the other day, helping me identify the egg that people were feeding to the fish. Not. Anyway, she spent many years in Sweden, a number of years in Sweden, so she speaks quite well Swedish, you know. And so when people come in from Scandinavia, if they're from Sweden, then it's so cool. She just speaks to them in Swedish, and they fall over. And after we pick them up and bring them back to life, they're just stunned by this. But it turns out that other people too. When you're from Norway, even Norwegian people can sort of semi-understand when somebody speaks to them in Swedish. So she's been showing off to for the Norwegian people. There was a bunch of guys in yesterday. I think I made a joke. Big men came in. I said, "There's a rugby team has come in the door. Everybody hit the decks, you know, or whatever." They were from Norway, and she started to speak to them in her Swedish, and they could handle a conversation with her. But it was great, great, great fun. Look for the tall, pale ones. No, that's the Netherlands. Scandinavians are not. The 4 boys yesterday from Norway, my God, they looked like a rugby team. They were big, huge, beefy men. It wasn't until they started talking that we could label them as Scandinavian. But it's so much fun for Sadako to do this, you know. And there's another aspect to that too, you know. It's not just the Swedish little joke we can play because Sadako speaks Swedish. But we realized this a while ago. People are in our shop and I sit at the side. And yesterday, for example, there was 3 ladies behind the counter. We had Sadako, Udagawa-san, and Wakana-chan. So we got sort of a 20-year-old college student and then the 2 other ladies, Udagawa-san and Sadako-san. And of course, they speak English fine. They are Japanese ladies. They've got a bit of an accent, but they speak English fine. And we hear so many times from the customers, people who've been in the shop, that, oh my God, it's so glad to be able to communicate with people. And when you realize about it, you know, people in Japan as tourists, they go to restaurants, hotel desks, or taxi driver, whatever. And none of those people, well, I can't say none of them can speak English. That's not true. The hotel clerk stumbles through your stuff, whatever. But nobody can ever have a conversation with them. You don't chat with somebody. The restaurant waitress doesn't chat with you. She takes your order and gets out of the way. And our shop, I guess, we didn't really realize this, but our shop is one of the only places for a typical tourist when they've done their travel about Japan, Shinkansen, Kyoto, Osaka, back to Tokyo, come to our shop. Our shop is one of the few, if not only places where they've actually been able to, you know, have conversations with people. So our 3 Japanese ladies that were standing behind the counter, this is a sort of almost a unique chance for these visitors to speak to normal Japanese people. So sometimes, you know, I try and keep out of the way there. People want to come in and say hello to me for the YouTube, that's fine. But the experience of being able to come in and chat with these real Japanese people is really unusual. We hadn't realized that this was sort of a benefit of our business until we hear from people so many times. Oh my God, it was so cool. I was afraid I'd come in here and wouldn't be able to talk. And let me throw some more food and let me zoom out a bit. Back in a sec. If I zoom out too far, we're going to have real focus problems, I think. So let's maybe, also there's too much dead zone there. So is that our best option? Let's try this. Okay, here we go. Pasta. Oh, look at this. There's more ants on this than there is pasta. For those who have just joined the stream, this is my home in Ome, Tokyo. I'm on the balcony of the second sub-basement. The camera is pointed straight down into a little river that flows just behind my property. Maybe at the end of the stream today when we're shutting down, I'll lift the camera up and you can see a wider view. For the moment, we're looking down. The stream is not my property, it's public land. I think the light's better now that the sun is coming up a bit more. They're little tiny, people call them mountain trout. I don't know if it's officially a trout. They're a fish that's similar to what are called yamame. I don't know the actual specific name of the ones we have here. I think what we're going to do is this. Our normal stream time is 8 o'clock to 9:30 here in Japan. For the last 15 minutes of the stream, coming up now I guess actually, we do what's called show and tell. We'll show a print from our collection and then normally the stream shuts down and away we go. Now I do have other jobs to do here, noisy jobs, but let's do the same thing that I did last summer when I came out here. We're now going to switch to the show and tell part of our stream. For 10 minutes or so, I will show another print. We'll take the focus away from the river. And then we will say goodbye. I'll sign off the stream and shut it down. But what I will then do is I will hit the start streaming button again. I will not be here. I'll be gone. Simply, I will leave the camera pointing down into the stream. I'll get busy with my work in the background. I'll occasionally come back and throw some pasta into the stream. Over the next couple of hours, I'll leave it running. The sun will gradually climb up and we'll see better views of the stream as the sun goes into it. So there will be two streams today. The one we're doing now, which is nominally a work stream and a chat stream. And then once we're finished here in 15 minutes at 9:30, we'll shut it and then we will open up a stream. And I'll let it run for whatever, however. There won't be any discussion. There'll be no, the mods don't have to sit here. I will keep my eye on the chat in case something happens and funny people come and it explodes. So I'm not asking the mods to stay. Don't worry about that. I myself will keep an eye on this in case something goes wrong. If the chat becomes funny, I will just shut that part of it down and leave the camera running. But let's do this. So let's finish our normal woodblock related stream. And then we'll just put the camera on for a stream. Okay, show and tell today. I had no plan for this whatsoever. I found these couple of prints. So let's interrupt our stream part of this for a minute. Let me bring up the desk camera because we need to look at a couple. Oh, what's happening there? Whoa, lock. Let's bring up our desk camera here because I got a couple of large prints that I'd like to show you. I had forgotten I had these. It's a dusty old thing. Is there a date on this? When did I get this? When was it sent to me? It came to me from Numabe Shinkichi. There must be a date on it somewhere. Woodblock prints, couple of woodblock prints. There's two of them here. And it's not normally the kind of stuff Dave would have. But he's got them and there's a backstory. The desk, it's an old, this is a tourist souvenir from Korea. My brother used to work on cruise ships. He was a musician on cruise ships, usually in the Caribbean. He had a shift, he worked the Asian from Tokyo down to Hong Kong or wherever it is. And the boat he was on stopped in Korea. So one day he brought me this folding desk. It's sort of a mother of pearl thing. I think really it's Korean tourist junk. He picked it up at a place where cruise ship passengers buy stuff. And it really isn't well made, but it was a nice present from my brother. And it's some sort of traditional Korean mother of pearl inlay. Anyway, to the prince, to the prince, to the prince. Chocolate egg, to who can identify this? Someone says it's a croissant crane. I think you put your bet on the table a little bit too early there, John. So, someone says Yoshida. The answer is no. It is, of course, Niagara Falls. But is it Yoshida? No. Of course, it's Niagara Falls. Okay, now the lower right, it's not cut here as in, sometimes we cut the paper to show that it's a defect. That's not what's happening before. This is cut so that the paper fits in the registration marks. Here it is. Why would I have this? It was given to me by the printer Numabe Shinkichi. He printed it. Paul came over. When was this? My God. Paul and I have done this twice. He came over once. It would be in the late 1990s. It must be because Seki-san died in the late 1990s. So Paul came over. I have no idea. 1992, 1993, 4, 5, 6, somewhere around there. He was looking for printers. So I took him out to Hachioji and we met Kenji Seki. And Seki became Paul's printer for a number of prints he was doing at that time. I think they were kabuki style prints. I don't remember. Seki-san gave me a bunch of them. I've got them upstairs. And then their relationship went on and I was no longer in touch with them. Paul was using Kenji Seki for a number of years. What you're hearing is an American Air Force plane. We are within range of the Yokota Air Force Base, and sometimes they're going around and around, and they do their touches and landings and come around. And that may be the first pass of what is an endless go around, go around, go around. Anyway, okay. So I introduced Paul to Kenji Seki, who became his printer for a whole bunch of years. Then I guess Seki-san died, of course. This would be in 1997 or 1998. He ran his motorbike into the back of a parked car on the way home from a meeting one night, and that was that. So Paul came over again, and again, I don't remember, I don't know if it's in my diary somewhere, early 2000s, maybe it was 2002, 3, 4, 5, whatever. He needs another printer. So he and I went to visit Mitamura-san. And Mitamura-san is he's dead now. Mitamura-san was the head of the Craftsmen's Association, the Tokyo Koge Kumiai. Tokyo Mokuhankan Kumiya was the Craftsmen's Association. And Paul said, same thing, the guy introduced me. So we went to see Mitamura-san, and he's thinking, yes, no. Paul described what kind of prints he wanted done, and Mitamura-san suggested Numabe. And actually, Numabe had been on my list because I also knew Numabe-san. He was working for us also at this time. So Paul and I went out to see Numabe-san, who is the Yoshida's #1 printer these days, and they hit it off, and Numabe agreed to do Paul's work. And Numabe has lots of experience like this because he prints Yoshida prints that are, the dancing cranes and stuff like this. That's very large. And that's where their association started. And I have no idea, is Numabe-san still doing printing for Paul or not? I don't know. I'm not in any way connected to those two guys these days. Paul might be using a different printer. I don't know. I have no idea. But so Numabi-san was really, really happy about this. I guess Paul was paying him very well, taking care of him well. I don't know the details of their business relationship. But Numabi-san sent me, as a thank you, sent me, I guess Paul signs and gives Numabi-san a couple of copies for distribution as he wishes. So Numabi-san shared one with me. And that's one of the two prints. The other one, I've got to be careful. This is a pretty dirty room. There's lots of dust and dirt in this room. It's not used, so I've got to be careful where I lay things down. And we have, so you know where the story is going. They've been rolled up for so long. And this is from Paul's same series. I don't know how many are in his series. I'm not really up to date with Paul's work, what he's been doing over the years. I've been in touch with it now and then. I'm not the go-to person. So I guess Paul was doing a series of prints that were very much an homage to Hiroshi Yoshida. Absolutely. And I think this was the first one he did in that series. And Yoshida himself did a print about the Grand Canyon. And this was Paul's, whether he calls it an homage to it or not, I don't know. I'm sorry, I really don't know. And we have here Cloud Shadows Grand Canyon, printer's proof, the beanie embossment at the bottom here, and then Paul's signature at the side. And how much of this beauty of this is due to Paul's ability and Paul's color breakdown and how it works, and how much is due to Numabi-san's ability at making these things dance, I really don't know. I wasn't present for any of the proofing. It's Benny's concept, of course, but Numabi is really good at taking a set of Yoshida blocks and painting them up to be able to make those things dance. And I wasn't present at any of the proofing sessions. Maybe Paul designed it completely and Numabi just did the work. Or maybe Numabi's hand is also in here helping do the color layering. I really don't know the backstory. It's the blocks are plywood blocks, as nobody would carve this on cherry. They're plywood blocks. The Grand Canyon print we just saw, the parts of it that have a key line, there's some trees and stuff up at the top. They're metal blocks. Metal or polymer. I think it's metal. It might be polymer plate for the key lines. And then the color blocks are all wide planks of Sheena plywood. It would be insane to try and do this with any kind of a cherry wood. These are plywood, of course. It doesn't expand, doesn't contract. We're not making hundreds of copies, so the fact that the plywood doesn't really last long in terms of rich color is not a factor. So, how many blocks would be needed? I haven't any idea, I'm sorry. It's nowhere near the massive count that were used for the Yoshida blocks. Paul has not gone as over the top as they did. In any given area here, you'll see there's a flat color background of yellow, there's a sand color and a green on top, so there's 3 colors in this zone, but Yoshida would never have stopped just at 3. He would have layered on far more colors. Paul, there's a practical aspect to this. Back when Yoshida was doing it, the craftsmen were cheap, the paper was cheap. His market, the people were willing to pay, the American servicemen were willing to pay lots of money, and in dollars, which was worth a fortune. So Yoshida had the resources to keep layering. Paul is a bit more constrained. It can be an expensive print, but he can't just keep layering ad infinitum. So he's cut and run. That area is done with 3 blocks. Some of these overlap. The green there is the green here. But it's a far lower block count than we would see in the Yoshida original. Someone's asking, do you run into problems? Of course, registration becomes a major issue. Because it's plywood, the blocks don't expand and contract so much, but the paper does. The highest quality paper, even the highest quality paper, still, of course, when you moisten it, it expands. And then when you print a big wide area, this background yellow tone here all over, the paper will tend to expand even more and then contract and expand and contract. So areas where there's a blotchy color in the middle, it doesn't make any difference, but you've got to match. Look, this sky has to match the canyon rim here exactly. Registration is critical in an area like that. So by far and away, number 1 difficulty is registration. Number 2 difficulty is keeping the block the proper level of moisture. This is a big block. You need massive brushes to do this. It's physically hard work. There's no press involved. This is being rubbed with a Baron. There's no way I myself would be capable of doing the work you see right here. No way. Mokuhankan Workshop could not possibly be producing prints like this at all. Numabe's good at it. He's far physically more powerful man than I am. Someone says it looks digital, and it's not. This is a real woodblock print, you know. Nicely conceived, good rich color, beautiful tones. Numabe is really, really good at this, making these blend into each other. Look at this. It's just a Numabe hallmark. You know? You can just see how these work. You see the block count. It's way, way lower than the Yoshida block count would have been, but it's fine. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. It's a different era and a different set of constraints, a different set of compromises. And of course, it's not meant to be looked at close up. It's meant to be looked at from a distance on a wall to give you the overall impression. There's no way anybody's expecting to look close up at these things. Okay, there we are. This is something we've never seen on our stream before. Very nice that I bumped into it this morning upstairs. It's been sitting there sleeping for I don't know how many years. I don't know when this was made. I know the internet would be able to tell us when were Bini's Grand Canyon and Niagara Falls prints made. That's when I would have got them. So they've been sleeping up here for 15 years, somewhere around there. I don't know. Are all the clouds on a single block? No, there's any number of blocks here. I have no way to do the analysis here. I'm sorry. No idea. There's going to be 1, 2, 3 blocks up there for the clouds. I don't know. I'm not even going to try and do a quick and dirty analysis here. It would almost certainly be wrong. Someone says 2010. Is that what it is, John? 2010? Okay, you're ahead of me here. I don't know. Okay, here we go. We are going to sign off here, but as I said before, I'm going to sign off and go away, and then after 30 seconds or so for Twitch to reset its system, I will restart the stream without me and without my desk, just as an outside stream. And I might actually, let's do that. I might take the camera, pan around for a few minutes to see the outside scenery, and then drop it down into the water and turn it on for a no hands stream. In fact, let's do that. Let's do the ending of this one that way. If I turn these two cameras off right now, I'll go out there now as part of our first stream here. I will pan up for a minute, then turn it off, and then turn it back on. Thanks. Let's see. Yo. Okay, as I said, the camera is looking almost straight down from my balcony. Let's first zoom out. Now you can start to see there's the wall. The foundation of the house is on there. If I can turn this around without breaking everything, I don't know. Let's see how it's going to work. Unhook the camera. Okay, here we go. Looking to the left now. There's my balcony. Out. It's so much undergrowth we can't see anything. The houses way up above us. No, there's just too much greenery. If I'd been doing my job cutting things off, we'd be able to see the rest of town. We could see Ome. We'd see Tamura-san's house over there. We would see the local little shrine. No, we can't see anything. It's pointless. Nothing but jungle to see. Sorry. I shouldn't have even tried. Let's just put it back. Put the camera down. Okay, signing off for the mainstream, and as I said, I'll put the camera back up after about 1 minute. Thanks again. See you next time.